for a long time, more years than I would like to admit. Even though summer came every single year, even though every single year I knew that my son would not be in school for a certain amount of time, it literally kind of like I didn't plan for it, and my business definitely was impacted. And either, I felt like I was dropping the ball at home or I was dropping the ball in business, and I do not want that for you. Hey friends, I'm Rosemary Lewis, your homegirl, and I'm so excited that you are here. I do not care what it looks like on Instagram or HGTV. This whole being a realtor thing is not for the faint at heart. In 2017, I quit my job as a teacher to follow my real estate dreams and quickly found myself overwhelmed and struggling. Fast forward to today. Not only have I been recognized as one of the leaders in our industry, I have actually grown a business that I absolutely love. I don't care if you're a brand new agent trying to figure out how to get started or a veteran feeling overwhelmed and just stuck. I was just like you, and I totally get it. Many times I wish there was someone that I could just talk to about all the challenges I was facing. And that is why I created this space just for you. Like best friends do, I'm giving you all the tea related to navigating and thriving in these real estate streets. If I can do it, guess what? That's proof that you can too. Everything's better with friends, so let's succeed together. Welcome to the Real Estate Bestie Podcast. Well, hello there, bestie. Welcome to episode number 150. Oh, I am so excited to be here with you for the 150th episode of the Real Estate Bestie Podcast, where we are going to talk about real estate, summer, and kids. Okay, so I am recording this, y'all, just a few days ahead of Mother's Day. And, my initial thought was, let's talk about, being a mom and a real estate agent and, just talk about that. But then I thought about it, like, what's really going to help the besties? And let's really start to make plans ahead of time on how you can have a wonderful summer, how you can enjoy your family, but not at the detriment of your business. So we are going to get all into that topic. But before I get into it, listen, I just want to say congratulations, bestie. Like literally take your right hand and pat yourself on the back, because we at the Real Estate Bestie Podcast just hit a monumental milestone, I guess we would say, in our podcasting journey. And that is, we have reached 75,000 downloads to the podcast. Honestly, we're closer to 76 now. So thank you to everyone who has been rocking with the podcast. Thank you for just embracing and being a part of this community. I get so much joy. I can't even begin to tell you how much Real Estate Bestie means to me, and I know that it means a lot to you. So I just appreciate you for being here. And the way that we continue to grow, like how cool it's taken us, about, I would say 18 months to get 75,000, but how quickly do y'all think we can get to 100,000? So the way that we do that is by you continuing to share the podcast, forward it to a friend, share it on your social media channels. And honestly, it's not for the sake of growing just to grow, but it is so that other besties that are feeling kind of alone or just feeling like they need community in this business so that they can find us. And I am just so grateful. So kudos to you for us hitting 75,000 downloads. Okay, so let's talk about it. So this episode, I am probably specifically talking a little bit more closely to those besties who are mamas or in charge of somebody. But quite honestly, I think even if you are not a mom, if that's not a part of your life, honestly, I feel like summer is just a time where some of our routines can kind of fall by the wayside. And we are going to we're going to be proactive, not reactive, on ways that we can get in front of that. So last week we did an episode just all about a reset. I myself have just been in this resetting stage of life and business. So go ahead and check that out. And we gave you a great resource, rosemarylewis.com/reset, on just some different steps to just really get back to some habits so that you can be living your best life and building a business, right? That your business does not have to suffer. And a lot of times it really comes down to our routines. And I don't know about you, but for me, where I see my routines really struggle is when, or my habits, my daily activities, I should say, struggle, is when my routines are thrown off. When there's travel or when there is an unexpected, thing that I just cannot get around that disrupts the schedule, my regular schedule program. Sometimes it takes a little while to get back in the go of it. And for a long time, more years than I would like to admit, even though summer came every single year, I knew that my son would not be in school for a certain amount of time, it literally kind of I didn't plan for it, and my business definitely was impacted. And either, I felt like I was dropping the ball at home or I was dropping the ball in business, and I do not want that for you. So we are going to just talk through some really practical ways for us to plan for summer vacation so that you can still show up for your business and show up for your family. So here's the very first thing that I am going to share with you. And this may challenge your mindset. And I know that everything is very expensive, but let me tell you something. It took me way too long to actually invest in some summer camps for Cameron. So for those of you who are newer to the podcast, or maybe I just haven't talked about him in a while, I have two kiddos. I have two sons. One is Corey. Corey is 24. When I got into the business, Corey was already pretty much grown. He was a senior in high school. And then I have Cameron, who is now 12, right? So for the entire time when I got into real estate, Cameron was in kinder. And from my teaching career, I never really, for the most part, put him in summer activities because I was home teaching. I was home from teaching over the summer. So he just kind of hung out with me, and that was all good. And because of that mindset and mentality, first of all, when I was teaching, I really did not have the surplus to put him into summer activities. And let's just say this, y'all, why? I understand, and I don't know, but where I live in North Texas, when I tell you that these summer activities are expensive, God bless my friends who have more than one kiddo, because just the one, if you send one child to summer camp every week in a month, you might spend $1,500. It's $300 and $400 a week. And some of them got the nerve to want you to pack a snack. Oh my goodness. But we're going to get into that. But they are expensive. So I just want to point out, I don't care what level of business you are at, these summer camps can be very expensive, but I have learned the hard way that sometimes, I would go into the summer without a plan and just kind of sort of think that he could be home and we would have the same type of summers that we did when I was not a full-time real estate agent. And it actually probably ended up costing me more in the long run than it did to actually invest in camps, right? So that's one of the first things that I'm gonna say, really take a good look. Now is the time to actually look at your budget, look at what you can budget for. And even if you are not in position, or like me, I didn't want my son to be in a camp every single week of summer, but we did go through a couple of camps that, I want to say over the course of a summer, after it took me a while to just get to it, he did 2 to 3 per summer. And that was such a good help, right? It just broke up our time. And I want to just bring that up now because I know that it is a monetary commitment. I know that you may have to budget for it. You may have to plan for it. But sometimes like making that investment, number one, it gives your kiddo something interesting to look forward to. So they're just not, you're not just yelling at them from the other room, or you stressed out because you're trying to parent and work, all however many 100 days that they're home for summer. It gives them something to look forward to. And then it gives you just kind of some more focused time where you can go a little bit more all in on your business, right? So like I said, I was never the one to say, hey, he had a back-to-back camp every week. And honestly, it just didn't work out for me that way. If it does work out for you that way, then kudos to you. But I would encourage you to budget for and look to see like what are some of the weeks that you could have them in some sort of camp. Okay. Now let's talk about like structure. So this is something that I will be the first to say that I am not just that super duper structured parent. I don't know. My kids might disagree and say that I am structured, but like I know I got some friends that during the summer they got like a timeline. The kids got to do this at this time and that at that time, and everybody does this activity. I'm not really that deep with it. But I will tell you that having some structures in place are going to be a game changer. Okay. So the very first thing is that, consistency is better. I would rather you commit to being consistent with your activities, even if they have to be in a shorter sprint of time, than to being inconsistent, right? To unrealistically setting up the expectation that you're going to be able to show up for the business in the exact same manner as you would when your kiddo was at school all day. So this is what I mean, right? So for instance, during the week, like when my son is not at school, I typically like to go into my office 3 to 4 days a week. And for the most part, I'm in the office the entire time that he's at school. Like if I go to my office, I'm typically going to be there from, 10 to 4, 9 to 4, something like that. And I get to break up that day with leisure activities, phone calls, consultations, things like that. In summer, I think that it is perfectly, and just in life, I think that it is perfectly acceptable to even shorten your quote unquote work day, but making sure that you still have some consistency, right? Most of us are not in a position where we can put our business down in June and pick it back up in August, right? There may not be as much business as you want. And then also add in the fact that summer is honestly one of the busier time for real estate agents. So what does that look like? And I'll tell you something that worked for me is I actually gave, and I have a son. So, by the time the light bulb finally went off, like, oh, I got to have a little bit of more things in place for him. I gave him a little bit more freedom in the morning. So I let him sleep in a little later, or that's when he would be able to access his technology in the morning. And but that meant that I would have to be up, and, for the most part, I would be working from home on the days that we were home all day together. And any lead generation, my non-negotiable conversations, reaching out, having those real estate conversations, I would eat the frog. And when I say about eat the frog is like get those activities out of the way earlier in the day so that I'm making sure like when my house is a little bit quieter, when he is occupied or when he is asleep, that is the time that I'm going to be hitting the phones, calling my sphere, calling my leads, doing my follow-ups and things like that. And then you get creative, right? If you don't have 4 hours to make phone calls, can you call for an hour and then maybe send video messages, or send messages through Messenger, things like that, so that you're still staying in front of your people, but you're doing it more, on a tighter schedule, maybe not lead genning for as extended amount of time, but you're keeping up with that consistency. I promise you, if you are consistent an hour a day over the summer, as opposed to just being frustrated, get out here. Oh, you get on the phone and now it's nap time. Now it's this time. Now it's that time. Like you can't get anything structured. Find that pocket. And I just said that, like, if you have smaller kids, maybe every day during their nap time, like you're probably used to doing your lead generation activities first thing in the morning. But maybe for you, first thing in the morning, your kids are on 10, right? And you need to attend to them. Or maybe you do an early activity at the library, or, whatever it is y'all are going to do. But then after lunch, when they go down for lunch, and if they are napping age or their quiet time, that is when you're going to do your consistent lead generation activity. So adjusting your schedule, I think, is perfectly acceptable, but plan for it ahead of time. Okay. Now, this is another thing that I probably should have started with this, but time block. Still continue to time block in the summer. And what I love about time blocking is that, the way that I teach it, and if you don't know, I do have a course that you can get at any time. It is a course really easy to take, but it teaches you the art of time blocking. And the way that I teach time blocking is not only about time blocking your money-making activities, but it's time blocking your entire life, right? We look at your faith, your family, your fitness, your finances, and your fun. And how do we make space for all of that on your time block? And it's not that it's going to be equally balanced, but creating rhythms so that you can be present for the things that you need to be present for. So if you're interested in that, head on over to rosemarylewis.com/time, but definitely time blocking, like plan ahead for your weeks. This is why I like time blocking, especially in the summer, is that, you can look to see, okay, when am I going to be doing my lead gen? Okay, great. During this pocket of time, that's when, my friend or significant other, I know that they are going to be at the house, so I can plan, if I have any showings that come up, or if I have any appointments I need to go, this is the pocket of time. Okay. And then what are the activities at the library? What are the activities, when is the snow truck man coming, or snow cone man coming? Actually time blocking. So now you don't feel guilty, right, for spending this time with your children, because let me give you a news flash, right? You get 18 summers. I mean, I know your kid's gonna be around much longer, but I'm telling you, I have a son who's 24 and he busy. He spent a little time with us, but for the most part, he is, living his own life. So I don't want us to be so focused on building a business that we don't enjoy the people that we're building a business for. And time blocking and telling your time where to go will definitely help you. And if you haven't ever time blocked, this is a great time to do it and practice it before we get into these summer months. Okay. Now here is another. I know we talked about camps and things like that. So definitely now is the time. Boo, I hope it ain't too late. Start looking at these camps. As I say this, like Karen does a sleepaway camp one time a year, and I need to book it today. Like I need to book it today before it fills up, because that thing will fill up. So look at camps. Here's something else. Look at VBS, right? Vacation Bible School. Now I would here you go thing. One year I tried to go to 4 vacation Bible schools. Cameron got very bored, because let me tell you something. There is normally the vacation Bible school people, they send the same curriculum out to all the different churches. So you might not want to just go to 20 of them, but vacation Bible school is a great outing. Most times it is free, or is very nominal, like $20-$30 per kid. And it's a great place for them to be. And then here's another ninja tip. Things like vacation Bible school, like any volunteer opportunity that you can do. And summer is one of those times where you can connect, right? Like we got to get creative. If you can't be on the phone to lead gen, at the end of the day, we want to be meeting people and having real estate conversations. So what are the things that you could even be doing with your child that will put you in front of new people, where you can start, developing relationships and friendships and starting to have these different conversations? So you might even consider, right? Like what are some activities that your child can do over the summer, but it could also be a volunteer activity for you to actually meet other people. And now you're being creative in the way you are gathering information and connecting with people and getting to know them for the long run. So yeah, look at Vacation Bible School. Okay. Then here is something else as you are thinking about the summer. How can you incorporate your child into your business over summer? Okay. So honestly, I'm going to point you towards your CPA, because I am not claiming to be anyone's tax professional on this here Real Estate Bestie podcast. But what I will tell you is that there are very legal tax relief options for you to pay your child. And you just might want to have a conversation with your CPA about it, because the summer is a great time for you to give your child tasks, the non-licensed assistant type tasks that they can incorporate and do some things in your business. And maybe those are some things that they're working on. So, if you have a late elementary child, like, can they start videoing you for B-roll so that you can do stuff on social media? Can they tidy the office? If you have a younger kiddo, can they wipe down your signs? So how can we take some of the things that we're doing on a daily basis in our business, but now incorporate your child? And quite honestly, like, I remember this, not real estate related, but one of the best memories that I have of growing up is that my mother, she owned a restaurant, and she didn't own it long. She owned it for a couple of years, but there were times where I would always hear about the restaurant, and she would of course bring food home. But some of my favorite memories are actually being in the business with her, because it allowed me to see her as she was mama to me, but to everyone else, she was my Barb, or Miss Barbara, who made, these delicious meals. And I got to see her in action. And I just thought that it was pretty cool that, she was calling the shots, and like, I was her kid, and I could be at the restaurant, like, wiping down the counters and stuff. So don't be afraid to incorporate your kiddo or your kiddos in your business some sort of way. And y'all know my boy Chat GTP, like, literally I would go to chat and put in ways to incorporate my 6-year-old in my real estate business over summer, and just see what information, what pops up, and then what will actually be relatable for you and yours. Also, as you are thinking about summer and your kiddo, leverage. Okay. Don't be afraid to swap play dates. Don't be afraid to, you keep the kids on Monday so you can go do your thing to one of your real estate besties or girlfriends, or even somebody in a total different realm. I will keep them on this day. I think that sometimes where we really mess up is thinking that this is what I used to do. Because I was home anyway, I just thought that it just made the most sense for him to be home with me all the time. And that literally was not the issue, right? Like, I had to attend to my son. And as a result of attending to my son, I just started to feel behind in business and was frustrated. And applying some leverage, like thinking ahead, like, who else has a child around the same age, a flexible schedule where you all can kind of share some responsibility with each other. Like, hey, I'll take them to the libraries on Tuesdays if you take them to the Dollar Movie on Thursdays, right? And now you can plan your business and your appointments around it. And then quite honestly, like, even with my clients, I think that the more you plan ahead, now you don't have to show up to your clients like, oh, I'm so sorry, like I couldn't meet you because I didn't have anyone to take my son, right? No, you've time blocked it, you've thought ahead, you've put leverage in place. So it's like, okay, yeah, I would love to, meet you out for showings. My availability is Thursday between 1 and 4, or Friday anytime before noon, right? So you're still giving your clients options without them feeling like you can't, fully attend to them because your child is home for summer. So applying that leverage and thinking ahead and all of that is going to be huge for you as you are approaching these next couple months. And then this is what I'm gonna say, like, enjoy it. Enjoy your summer, enjoy your child, enjoy your children. You see me, I have one child at home that I have to worry about. So, but enjoy your children, but planning ahead, it's that thing, like, if we are being proactive, then we don't have to be reactive. If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. So the biggest thing that I want to encourage you is don't be like your girl, me. Like, literally think through, okay, summer is coming. How do I need to approach my business differently, but still consistently over the next couple of weeks so that we are not at each other's throats, and you are going to be so much better for it. Okay. Alrighty. Now, if this episode was helpful to you, why don't you do me a favor? First of all, if you have never left us a review, in 75,000 downloads, we have 168 reviews. The math is not mathing, but I forgive you, okay? Because you are going to take 1 second, you're going to push pause, and you are going to review the podcast. A 5-star review will be so helpful to us, because what that does, again, is it puts us in front of the besties who need to find us. And then share it, like hit that share button, like literally share it with a real life real estate bestie. And honestly, I feel this one you can share with any mama or anybody who is looking for some structure during, times where our normal routines are a little bit different. And I think that it will be beneficial for them. So as always, besties, I love you so much. I'm always, this is one of the best parts of my day, is when I get to talk to the real estate besties. And I will see you next week. Bye now. If you enjoyed this episode and you have a real life bestie that you think it would resonate with, y'all, do me a favor. Go ahead and hit that share button, because you know what? We are better together. Make sure you share the podcast, and I appreciate your reviews. I appreciate you giving me 5 stars more than you know. I'll talk to you next week.